Today, you're going to stop using the heartbeat sensor because with all the recent changes to perks and equipment, it is definitely important to switch it for something else that will allow you to get more wins and improve your overall stats. We have covered Warzone ranked in the past. They are going through an overhaul, so it will look a little bit different. But one thing I really wanted to point out is a couple updates they've had to give us even more information than we had previously. Now you're able to select individual modes so you can see how the meta shifts depending on what mode you're playing and how those KDs and win ratios are based off those individual pick rates. But one of the most important parts that I haven't really seen the huge adjustment in is perks and equipment. We're going to go ahead and kind of talk about what is contributing to these overall stats and why you should be adjusting away from some of these perks that may be more popular but are not adding the same benefit as another perk that is kind of slipping under the radar. Number one, obviously, is double time. This is what kind of people got conditioned to use for the longest, but with the changes to movement, it's not really necessary to run double time. Obviously, cold-blooded can counter combat scout, so that's kind of important. We also have EOD for explosives, and then we got quick fix, which was a huge change where as soon as you start plating, it prompts your health to start regenerating. So a huge change there. So on the pick ratio, we can kind of see how that lays out. Quick fix is a little bit more for aggressive players. Cold-blooded is going to help with thermal sights, and then like I said, combat scout. You really shouldn't be using kill chain ever and scavenger, even though I know people will comment these are bad players using these things in the regular battle royale or rebirth island. When it comes to perk 2, you can kind of see how these things lay out. Obviously, overkill is the first loadout that most people go with, and then they try to get perks later on, and especially now you get lootable perks. It is a huge advantage to be able to have both your weapons. You can see this is a pretty solid option. But what you'll notice is an increase in these other two perks when we're talking about win rate and KD. They're still kind of up at the top too. But in terms of win rate, restock leads to the most wins, and it's like, what the heck happened with this? That's leading to people winning more. Even if your stats aren't as good, it'll lead you to more consistent wins, and that's because the combination of what you can use this with. Obviously, you can use it with stim shots, you can use it with snapshot grenades, you can use it with all kinds of stuff because this helps your lethal and your tactical. But if you're using a heartbeat sensor, you get no benefit from the restock perk. Then we can kind of come down and you can kind of see that we have amped, combat scout, and battle hardened. When it comes to the pick rate, you can see that the number one is amped because of the weapon swap, especially with snipers is pretty important. Combat scout because of how broken that is, but then we also have tracker, which is kind of used, which I would imagine that's used by a little bit lower skilled players, but at a high rate just because they want to go ahead and track the footprints. Maybe they spot somebody, but in general, these would be the three to use. And you can see the win rate on these are higher because they're factoring in amped. You're able to swap your weapon. You're not caught with an LMG out when you need to use an SMG. But combat scout, you can kind of see how that lays out because you're going to be able to see the target. It pings them automatically. If you're playing in a team, they'll know where that player is. And that's incredibly important to staying alive because then you get team shooting. You instantly deleting people. There's a little bit more teamwork involved. Even though the combat scout is a little bit broken, the real only counter for that is going to be cold-blooded, which sometimes people will rather opt for quick fix because there is inherent benefit. You're going to win more just because quick fix, they think you're one shot, you start plating or whatever, and then the healing starts. The thing that we need to go ahead and combine these with is equipment. And heartbeat sensor, you can see, is way up at the top, picked heavily because people sit in corners, they camp. It's been nerfed multiple times. Ghost has been nerfed multiple times, so people aren't grabbing Ghost as often. So it's not really even like one of those things that where you think, hey, maybe it'd be stronger. But if you're relying on your heartbeat sensor too much, especially after the nerfs, you're kind of in a bad spot. And you can see the win rate isn't all that great for people who use heartbeat sensors. And this is obviously on an average. There's a million loadouts that were chosen. Obviously, they could have chosen 10 million or whatever the case is, analyzed specifically just today. But what we'll look at here is you can see that snapshot grenades lead to the most wins. Even though your KD isn't as high as maybe the sweats are using stims, sweaty players are using stims. If you're not an aggressive player, stims probably aren't your go-to unless you want to try and make a gas play or something like that. But snapshot grenades are for the, I would say, average to below average player because you're not going to be using stims to take advantage of that movement. So if you're using the heartbeat sensor, you need to 100% pretty much switch away and go to Snapshot Grenades and try to find a way to get restock into the loadout. And I'm going to show you what makes it so broken within Warzone. And then obviously down here, you can go with a throwing knife that thirsts your kills, that automatically grants you a kill pretty much. And then obviously sweaty players are using that, but Semtex are pretty good. And those are kind of the main go-to, but you can see there is a difference there. You can kind of see how that changes depending on what they change. So here's a couple examples of how the Snapshot Grenade works. The Snapshot Grenade does a full cylinder vertically up to infinity with a diameter of 25-ish meters. It's really hard to test that, but right around 25-ish meters. And what we'll look at here is, even though I'm at the bottom in this shower area, they call it, and the guy is on the top of the roof, you're going to go ahead and see them highlighted, and we'll go ahead and see a little bit of a timer there. You can see it pops up. You can see the guys up there, and it'll keep them highlighted for approximately 2 seconds. So right here, you can kind of see it's highlighted. And even though they're way up at the top, they're way up there, they might even be in the jail cells. But either way, if they were on the roof, it would go ahead and highlight them as well. The other one is it does not have a counter. Despite what you believe in terms of the battle hardened helping out, it still gives away your position, because if we go ahead and look at this example, this guy has battle hardened. It's going to go ahead and pop it. Aha, it told me that there's a player there. Even though they have battle hardened, I know that there is a person in this building. Obviously I had a UAV, or I had the crown here, so I knew somebody was there. So I threw it, and coincidentally this guy had battle hardened. So now I know that there is a player in that building, which still there's no counter. You can identify where players are. The real crazy part is to use this as an aggressive player. What you're going to see is this particular scenario where I'm able to dumpster this dude unexpectedly, because they didn't realize that I was going to go ahead and do this play. It's more of an aggressive play, but look at how you can do this. I go ahead and do the snapshot. I know where the guy is. Boom, I line it up. I missed a couple shots, but then I get on target pretty quickly and dumpster the dude. So that is an example of where you can use it. The highlight's going to last for 2 seconds, but where it gets really broken is with restock. And what you're going to see here is this regenerates every 25 seconds. And why that's important is, if you're a solo player, you're going to get 2 of these per minute. But if you're in duos, you guys are going to be able to throw one out every 12 seconds. If you're in trios, you're going to be able to do this every 8 seconds. So you'll be able to just walk around the map and be able to constantly throw these if you time them accordingly, and everyone on your team will know where this player is. As a solo, they are not particularly broken. They're very good, but then as you get into team component, it gets pretty crazy. If you go into quads, it gets even crazier. It's about a 6-second difference where you guys can throw these every 6 seconds, which is comparable to what a UAV does, but now you're going to have it in real time, and it's going to cover a decent area. Since it does work in a vertical cylinder, you're going to want to try and throw it a little bit further away from you so that you have a decent clearance and you're covering a decent amount of space. And this will allow you to clear buildings with ease, because if you spot someone or you get the other part, it's going to destroy it. So I highly recommend, if you're an average or below average player and you're playing a team normally, this could be pretty broken. So you're going to grab this in your second loadout, or you can use the amp with your first loadout, and then this would be kind of the build for you. Agency Task Force, Ember Sighting, 30 round fast, and then the Serpent if you want optic and go that route. But this is kind of what I would recommend. Try it for yourself. Appreciate the support. If you liked it, hit the like button. See you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.